Hello everyone and welcome back. On this video we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, and this is plugins. I love plugins. I'm a plugin junkie. I try new plugins pretty much every week. Everything that comes out, I have to check it out. I download the demo, I see what it has to offer, if there's anything new, everything special about it, and I try to incorporate it into my mixing, my productions, or mastering even. On this video, I'm going to talk about my 10 favorite plugins of 2019. And the way that I've assembled this list is basically plugins that I've incorporated into my workflow this year, plugins that I've used extensively, that were pretty much on every project that I was doing, every mixing or mastering or production project, and plugins that I feel they have something special to offer. So this was a very interesting thing for me to actually sit down and assemble a list of these plugins. I had to sit and think, okay, which plugin was I using on every project? Which plugin was I using for vocals? Which plugin was I using for mastering very often? So this is my list. I'm going to talk about plugins for mixing, mastering, production. So grab a cup of coffee, relax, and let's talk plugins. Right, the first plugin I want to talk about, I've been using it pretty much on everything this year. I kind of discovered this a little bit late, but I loved it so much that I actually got the hardware version of the plugin, and I might do a video about this in the future. Let me know if you want to see something like that. This plugin is called Blackbox HD2 and it's from Plugin Alliance. This plugin is literally a godsend. It works with everything. It works with drums, it works with vocals, it works with bass, it works with guitars, it works on the master bus. It can make your masters really full. It adds harmonics to the sound, so it's really, really beautiful. So let me, for example, play these drums here that I have. Let me just solo them and I'll show you what it can do. So, I mean, it has quite a few things. I mean, the first thing that you can do is the pentode, so you can drive this tube, and the triode. And basically what happens, even on the real unit, is the pentode basically drives the triode, and you even get more harmonics. You know, they give you different types of harmonics, and you also have a saturation circuit right here, which basically adds even more saturation to the entire spectrum, or just the low end or the high end, which is also it makes it more versatile. Let me show you. Let's add it. And the alternative tube gives you a little bit more aggressive tone. But for example, you can say I want to basically have the low end only affected by the saturation to get like a very kind of aggressive kick drum. Let's see that. Or just the top end. And we also have an air kind of circuit that adds a little bit of top end, you know, some air. It's really, really nice. So let me show you how these drums sound in the mix with and without the black box. We're sailing towards that fading light with those vintage lullabies. So it always helps for these things to cut through. Why? Because our ears love harmonics, and the black box basically adds these nice harmonics, and it gives you the perception of loudness. I also like to add it on my master bus. For example, let's go and add it here on my master bus, and let's see how it sounds with and without it. See how much it makes the mix sound more alive. It makes everything sound better. And I haven't added like a tone of gain. See the difference? Now it's time for us to... It just makes it... So, anyway, black box, incredible. I loved it so much. I actually got the real unit, and if you want me to do a video about this and show you how they both sound, just let me know in the comments down below. I really want to make that video, so if you're also interested, it makes sense. Now, next plugin is definitely one of my favorites. It's the console one from Softube, and this I've been using a lot, not only because it sounds great, but also because I have the console one right here, and basically basically I can change all the things on the fly. I can add this as a plugin on every channel, and I have total control. It's like having an SSL console pretty much in your DAW. I don't even have to look at what I'm doing. I basically go like this, and I can turn on the EQ. Maybe if I hear a frequency that I don't like, you know, this is a little bit honky, and I can say, okay, let's say I don't like this one, pull it down, and then maybe I want to add a little bit of attack to these drums, some gate. Very easily I can transform them, then maybe add some drive and some compression. And then you can even set the wet and dry for your compressor. It's a very, very nice plugin. It also has like amazing filters. I like the filters on this one. See, they're really nice and smooth. So again, if you want me to do a review or a walkthrough of any of these plugins that I'm showing you here today, please let me know and I'll make sure I do a video for this. Now for the next plugin, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I've already talked about it in a video when I did my top 5 favorite reverbs, but it's the DVR 250. And it's the reverb from TC Electronic that also has a hardware controller. I really love this guy. I've been using it a lot. It's not the reverb that you want to use on everything, but it's one of those reverbs that has a character, and this character works very, very well, especially for vocals. In my case, I use it all the time. For example, let's go like this. I mean, I have this vocal.
With those vintage lullabies, velvet sounds forgotten right.
So from very short reverbs to long reverbs, it still sounds great and it has a kind of vintage tone that I really enjoy. Now the next plugin that I really like is the Purple Audio MC77 from Plugin Alliance again. This is how it looks like. It's basically like, you know, it has this 1176 sound, but it has a very, very distinct tone. And I love it for drums. I love it for vocals. I like it on bass. So, I mean, that's how I use it. You know, it can become really, really fast. Really aggressive if you want to. Or just punchy. And what I like with these new plugins from Plugin Alliance is that you have these controls here. You have the stereo width, you have the mono maker, you have the parallel mix. These are all really nice additions that, you know, of course, they didn't exist in the original unit. So I can say, I want to make this mono, and then maybe spread a little bit. And you know, this sounds really, really nice. Now, the next plugin I want to show you is the FabFilter Pro Q3. I'm a big fan of this plugin, and to be honest with you, I wasn't the biggest fan of Pro Q2, just because I always felt that it was a great, you know, digital sounding EQ, but I was always reaching for the Air EQ from Aosis, which I still find that it's, I don't know, it's very responsive. You know, you add 1 dB and, you know, you hear the change. I always found Pro Q2 a little bit more on the conservative side. You really had to boost a lot to understand what's going on. It's great and it's very kind of detailed and very surgical, but Pro Q3 really added some things to the table that I find they sound really good. One of the things that I really like is that now each band can become dynamic. For example, let's say I have this vocal here.
We're sailing towards that fading light.
And I can immediately find, let's say, something like maybe some boomy notes that happen every now and then. And I can go like this and identify them. Like this one, for example. And then I can turn this into dynamic. And now, basically, when these notes hit,
We're sailing towards that fate.
The Pro Q catches them, and that's extremely useful because I don't have to completely alter the sound of the vocals. I can just find those, kind of resonances. Maybe it's like a room resonance or something like this, and Pro Q3 allows you to fix that. So I've been using it almost exclusively in dynamic mode. I love that function, and I also like the fact that it shows you if there's any problem.
With those vintage lullabies.
See, it tells you that maybe on 500 I can just take out a little bit of a notch right there and clean up my vocal. So Pro Q3, really, really cool. I like this new version. Now the next plugin that I'm using all the time, like literally all the time, it's always on my master bus in Cubase. It's the Clarity M, and that's basically, again, one of those TC hardware powered plugins. Basically, it's a frequency analyzer. You can see your frequency spectrum. You can also check out your vector scope, and you can see your panning. You can see if you are monocompatible, all these things, and it can also help you have a good mix for mastering for iTunes, Spotify, stuff like this. You can also see the loudness distribution in your track. For example, if I play these drums, so as you can see, we have the spectrum analyzer right there. Really, really nice. You can even see the frequencies, and you can pinpoint any frequency. Then you have your vector scope. And then we have the radar meter that basically shows you the volume distribution, the loudness distribution in your track. Extremely useful. I always have it on. It's always useful to see what's going on in your track. And I can see, for example, if I have too much low end, or if I have maybe some rumbling going on or some weird frequencies, this will show me straight away. Now, the next plugin I want to talk about is called Clariphonic, and it's from Kush. I use this a lot of time to get some clarity for vocals, for guitars, for, like instruments that need a little bit of sparkle, but I also use it on mastering on my master bus, and it's really, really great. It's very easy to overdo things with this plugin because it just sounds so good, but what I really like about it is it's also an MS plugin, which means that I can basically process the mid signal separately to the side signal. So let me show you how it works. This is the plugin, and let's say I want to add a little bit of mid-range. And clarity. It sounds really, really nice. And then, of course, if you want, you can make it mid-side, and you can add maybe some, top end and clarity to the side signal to make things a little bit wider, and also make the mid signal a little bit more focused with the focus control. See, it does that ha thing. It's very, very unique to the Clariphonic. And let's say enhance the vocals a little bit. See? It makes things a little bit more open, a little bit wider. I really like this. Clariphonic, really, really nice plugin. Now, the next plugin I want to talk about is the Shadow Hills Mastering Compressor from Plugin Alliance. Plugin Alliance have really killed it this year in 2019. This was one of the plugins that I was really, anticipating because, I've used the original hardware and it's really lovely, and I think they've nailed it. So, again, I use it for mastering, I use it for drums processing, I use it for vocals. You can't make this thing sound bad. It's really amazing. So let me show you. It has that optical compressor that makes the sound more even, and then it has this discrete circuit that it makes it a little bit more, it makes it sound like a record, basically. I can't explain it. It's so smooth and nice, but of course you can really, really make it aggressive if you want to, but I like using it on the master bus, this one. Everything comes up front. Now, the next plugin is the Rupert Neve Portico 5033, and that's an EQ. This is like a kind of a secret weapon plugin, in my opinion, because it it's the only plugin that can make the vocals stand out in a mix without making them sound harsh or making them sound weird. I find it's so natural, and it sounds, I hate saying this word, but basically it sounds really analog. So I'm going to use it on this master here, so you can see that the top end is amazing, the mid-range is incredible. Let me just play something through it, and you can see how it sounds.
Now it's time for us to shine.
Let's go back to the vocals.
Velvet sounds forgotten rhymes. Now it's time for us to shine. We're sailing towards that
See how it brings up the vocals?
fading light. With those vintage
Low end.
Velvet sounds forgotten rhymes. Now
It sounds incredible. I mean, if you haven't tried out the Portico series plugins, you're missing out. Now, on number 10, we have another soft tube plugin, and it's the TubeTech Collection. This is the new version, and I love this plugin since it came out for Power Chord, the compressor. But this has been greatly improved, and I love it for vocals, I love it for guitars, I love it for bass. Let me show you how this sounds. This has basically the CL1B compressor and also the EQ. So we have like the program equalizer and the mid equalizer. It's great if you want to sculpt your mids. So it sounds really nice. Let me show you.
we're sailing towards that fading
See how it grabs that vocal, but in a very nice way. Let me show you.
light. With those vintage lullabies, velvet sounds, forgotten rhymes.
Now let's add some top end with a boost here. Let's go, broad.
Now it's time for us to shine. We're sailing towards that fading
And I can take away some of the boominess with the attenuation here.
light. With those vintage lullabies.
See, already it sounds a little bit more polished. And maybe add a bit of mids here, let's see.
Velvet sounds, forgotten
And then if you want to take away some frequency, you can do it like that.
rhymes. Now it's time for us to shine.
Okay, and let's add a
That
bit of...
fading light. With those vintage lullabies, velvet sounds, forgotten.
So, this is a really nice... Again, it's very analog sounding. I really like the sound of the TubeTech, the real pieces of equipment, the analog stuff. Now, I know I mentioned that it was going to be 10 plugins, but I want to mention 2 more, okay? Just stick with me. This plugin called Soothe, it's a really, really powerful plugin, and it's one of those things that can save the day. Let's say that you have a vocal that you have a little bit of nasal frequencies, or you have like a very weird resonance somewhere, or you have drums that have a lot of sizzling on the cymbals, and you can't really control that. So this will actually help you soothe your tracks. Let's go for this vocal, for example.
Sailing towards that fading light. With those vintage lullabies.
And basically, the great thing is you don't have to do much. You just have to set roughly where your frequency, your problematic frequency is, and you just go like this. Let's say I want to get rid of this 500s.
Velvet sounds, forgotten rhymes. Now it's time for us to.
And it makes everything much cleaner. It makes the sound harsh. It's one of those very, very interesting ways of treating your audio, because it looks like a dynamic EQ or like a compressor, like a multiband compressor, but it actually takes into account every single frequency, and it has a very clever algorithm to tell where do I have to cut? Where do I have to basically soothe out these resonances, these peaks? Now, the last plugin that I want to talk about today is not really new, but I don't think it gets the appreciation that it deserves. And it's the Millennia TCL2, the twin-com compressor. This is an incredibly versatile compressor. It can be so fast that you can completely reshape, the transients of your material. It's really powerful. Let me show you. For example, we have this drum loop. So, and I can compress like this. I can add the ratio. So it's incredible how much you can compress. Check out the attack. See? It's like, I don't know of many compressors that can do that. This is incredibly powerful, and you know, sometimes you want to enhance the attack of I don't know, a guitar or a drum sample, something like this. This is really, really powerful. So one of those things that basically you can't really do with any other compressor. It has a very distinct sound. So there you go, guys. This was my list of favorite plugins for 2019. In the comments down below, please let me know which ones were your favorite plugins that you love, that you used a lot, that made made your tracks sound special. I'd really like to know, because as I told you, I'm a plugin junkie. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate you coming back to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Click that bell notification icon if you want to know when I'm posting new videos. And if you feel that this video might be useful to somebody, or if you have a friend that's a plugin junkie like us, feel free to share it. Thanks so much for watching, and see you on the next one.